Welcome to today's episode of VO Trailblazers, Building a Bank of Memories. Today, we're incredibly lucky to speak to Ross Appleton, Head of Analysis at one of the top rugby teams in the UK, Northampton Saints. We're also going to hear from the co-founder and CEO of VO, Henrik Teisbaek. Hey, how you doing, mate?
Hey, man.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
So, this week has been brilliant. We've heard from so many people across the spectrum of sport, from the grassroots, and today will be at the other end, the elite. We're going to watch this interview and then get some of your reflections.
So if you compare us with football, we're probably more video driven. Some of the other sports are perhaps more data driven. And data is massively driving what we do now. So whilst data is there to help us drive, we know we need to give that data context, and that's where the video comes in. We place quite a lot of ownership on our players to do their own homework. It's guided by the coaches and the analysts in terms of content, and we provide that and facilitate that. But ultimately, they're the guys making the decision on the pitch, on a match. Players' attention spans can be limited. We send out a lot of content the night before. Watch this 5-minute video, pre-training session, and then actually those meetings just before training are very concise. One thing we actually do occasionally is put Easter eggs in the video. So to encourage engagement, to get our players to watch that footage, there'll be kind of mini team point competition where you answer a question that might be 4 minutes into that video. You don't know where it's going to be. You don't know what the question is going to be. And so a mini team point goes to the team that first answers that question. So you have to watch it because you have to pay attention because there might be something in there that will be relevant for elsewhere in the club. The traditional split would be forwards and backs, but we also have small strategy groups within that as well. So we'll have a group that's responsible for driving the defensive messages throughout the week, the attack messages throughout the week. The front rows will obviously want to sit around a table and talk about scrum only. But then you've got the second rows and your back rows, the line-out corners. They will be meeting about the line-out. So you have smaller groups within the small groups. But then we also have a leaders group and a game drivers group, which are your key guys involved in the game. And they will be the ones that just tie everything together. That we go into our final practice the day before the game, because they'll be the guys that are making the decision on the day. So the way we do it is we approach it very much from a scenario basis. So we would put our players in front of a scenario, whether it's a score line, whether you've had a man down for a yellow card or a red card, and put them under pressure in those areas so that when they come across those, they're more likely to make the correct decision. And we also then review that. So we would sit down as a group and review, in this scenario, you made this decision, why did you make this decision? With the added technology at elite level, we can start to do a little bit more focus on those kind of things. So we can delve into the technical aspect of eye goggles to look at what you're actually looking at when you run towards a breakdown and a contact area. So what drives your decision, and speak to the players. We also mic our players up in training as well, so that we know what they're talking about. Rugby's a very vocal game. We need our players to be vocal pretty much all the time. So we would record what they say and then link it back to the video and say, right, in this scenario, you said this. Because the player's recollection, there's every possibility it would be completely different if they weren't recorded. You come back to the scenario where you haven't got the data available, you haven't got massive amounts of technology at junior game and in community level, you want to start with video. And that's your starting point as a coach or as a player. If you can just watch yourself play, if it's from an analysis perspective, you need to be able to watch yourself play. You need to be able to learn game understanding by watching a whole game of rugby. And I think that'll be the same across all sports as well. And then if you've got the facility to take smaller clips out to demonstrate and support your feedback, that's what it's about. It's no different from the elite level. We do the same, but we probably just do it with more data, more angles, more coaches, more players. So there's no different in terms of the approach. It just, you may need to scale it back in terms of the number of clips and the number of areas that you're looking at and what really actually going to make a difference at grassroots compared with the elite level. I've spoken to lots of people that are new into it who want to collect lots of information and lots of data, but they don't use any of it. So it comes back to does it make the boat go faster for you? And I think for a junior coach, the easiest thing to do from an analysis perspective from that point is to start with what you talk about the most. So the things, if you were going to debrief a game, the things that you speak about the most are the things you need to collect information on. So if you're a forwards coach that has no interest in collecting information or feeding back about kicking, then you don't need to collect information about kicking. If you've then got a backs coach that is responsible for that area, then they can start to formulate that. We're blessed in the Premiership because we're on TV, we're supplied with feeds. For the elite end of the game, we don't have to do a lot of filming for games specifically, but also training centres tend to be pretty high spec. Your academy teams and your youth teams might be playing on a Saturday afternoon in the middle of nowhere with no power. You can't fly a drone because it's raining. So we need to be able to adapt and scale down the technology. But by scaling down, it doesn't mean it needs to be any lesser of a product. It's about solving those problems that we don't experience at the elite level so that we can continue to provide our academy coaches with multiple angles for games. And I think that's the key for us is it doesn't, just because it's scaled down, it doesn't mean it needs to be a lesser service. And actually we need to pay more attention to that, especially if we have a culture where we want to bring through our academy players. I think the speed we can get access to footage is something that's massive in our workflow and getting footage from camera to analyst to coach, because it's all about efficiency, whether it's we speeded efficiency up with regards to setup of using VO and recording footage, but it's then getting that footage to the end user, whether that's the coaches or the players, is key for us, which is why we're enthusiastic about what's happening with VOCam 2 and being able to live stream. We're interested in that in terms of our academy games, again, reaching out to family members that can't quite get to an academy game in the middle of November on a cold pitch in the middle of nowhere. We had a game here last week with the academy. A local guy approached me in the car park before the game, actually, and his grandson was playing for Newcastle against Northampton here at Franklin's Gardens, and he never gets to see him play. And so he was desperate to come and watch the game because it was in his hometown, but he never gets to see him play because he plays in Newcastle. And I think filming at grassroots level brings that to the fore and means that you can keep in touch with your family and watch, and then you've got a bank of memories. And if a player at grassroots doesn't go on to make it at elite level, they've got that bank of memories of that try they scored in that cup final when they were 16 or 15 for their school, and they can take that with them. And I think that's really important for the grassroots game. And ultimately, you know, the more people at grassroots that are enjoying their sport, you know, they are the people that may come to see us play at a weekend when they stop playing, if they stop playing, or if their games don't clash. You know, those are the guys and girls that come and support us. And I think that's really key for our environment and our local community, and having that connection. And I think that's the most important thing at grassroots level, is being able to create those memories, because it's no different at elite level. We want memories, we want to win trophies, we want to progress and see our players go on into international honours, and we take great pride in that. And I think creating those memories, rugby is about that.
How does it make you feel?
It makes me proud that, first of all, that we've progressed so far from starting in football and now working with some of the best rugby teams in the world. Just seeing the expansion of our product into new sports, which also, I suppose, proves that video is universal in sport. That video is not just a problem we're solving in the world of football, but across all team sports.
When you think about how this is an elite rugby club, but they spoke so passionately about the grassroots and the importance of grassroots. What do you think of that, and how did that make you feel?
We're building the product for the grassroots teams because up until a few years ago, it was only the elite teams that had access to technology. Having said that, of course, it makes me proud that some of the best teams are actually using our product that is good enough to be used by the best teams in the world. That's also something that we're learning from, right? That we learn from some of the best coaches in the world. How are they using video? And can we take that learning and bring it down to the world of grassroots football? We can, help making better coaches and thereby better players.
What's really interesting from this interview is that it's obvious rugby is a technically advanced sport. They have all sorts of equipment at their disposal, drones, everything, but they still choose to use VO, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
Just tell me what's your thoughts on that.
No, I think it also proves that when you're on your home court, right, your stadium, you have all the fixed mount and you have all the cameras, but sport is played in the real world. Your away matches, that's on field number 9 at a rainy day where there's no electricity, there's no Wi-Fi, right? That's out there in the grassroots scene where sport is played. That is where our technology really comes into play, solving consistent quality footage of team sports.
Again, it kind of blows me away. We've got the head of analysis at like one of the top rugby teams in the UK, but he's talking about the powerful sense of a bank of memories and the fact that you would have memories whatever level you're at. Again, just talk to me about that.
Yeah, it's a fantastic phrase he's using there. Sport creates those moments of excitement, moment of joy, which is what it's all about. And having those games captured really creates a bank of memories. Before video, those memories were only memories, but now they can actually document it, they can actually relive it, and as importantly, they can also now share it with their mates, with their grandparents, with their parents, with their friends. So being able to amplify those moments through technology makes me super proud.
You often talk about the amplification of what VO can do, but also the positive impact through sport as well. Just what do you mean by that? Just define that further.
To me, sport is very important to the world, especially in these times here, because one, sport is important for public health. It's important that we have more kids being active. Secondly, sport connects people. Sport connects clubs, societies, sport connects countries when it comes to the world, the national teams. Thirdly, what's also important about sport, especially when it comes to the players, is that it instills values of team playing, right? That it is more important that the team wins than your own performance. It shows people that they have to work hard in order to achieve their goals. It helps people to accept sometimes you lose a game, sometimes you win a game. So it takes them through adversity in life. So I think there's some fantastic values that you learn when you have been a part of a team sport. So I think it's very, very important that we get more kids and more youth into playing more sport.
You were speaking about kind of just player moments, and I think we've got a clip I want to show you. This is a young team who had a pizza and VO night where they were reviewing some of their games, and this was a moment that was captured by one of their coaches. There was a penalty that the goalkeeper saved, and I just want to show this to you and get your reaction of kind of what it's like.
Hey, this is what it's all about, right? It is those moments that sport creates. I mean, few things in the world can create such moments as sport does. And it just shows also how sport is connecting people. I mean, this is probably a team with kids from various backgrounds, culturally, economically, all celebrating these goals together. And also, I mean, I'm sure these kids have been following their heroes, watching them in Champions League. And I think right now those kids are feeling that same excitement when their heroes are scoring a goal. So in essence, right, we're making these small heroes, and that's what it's all about.
Soon, we're going to be talking about live streaming these moments as well. What do you think that means, given the context of everything we've discussed, from analysis, development, and now entertainment and broadcasting?
Yeah, I think it really proves to how important sport is. So before live streaming, a game is only what happens on the field. The moments of excitement, celebration was only for the players. And I think what we're seeing right now is that through video and technology, we can now connect all these teams with their friends, with their parents, with their grandparents, with the fans of the club. So in essence, we are amplifying those moments to the rest of the world and thereby helping connecting the world.
Fast forward, 5 years, what do you potentially see? I know I'm a fan of a big club, but I'm more likely to watch my kids' matches or practices, even if it's live streamed. What does this mean in 5 years' time? Are we upsetting the apple cart potentially?
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be interesting to see how the percentage of people watching the professional teams right now, are there going to be a switch into watching more grassroots sports, your family sports? Is it going to expand the amount of time you watch sport, or is it going to take away some of the time you watch the professional side? So definitely there's some exciting things going on in the world of live streaming.
Taking it back to rugby and other sports, what's your message to kind of the kind of coaches and communities of those sports about kind of what's coming down the pipe from VIA?
So first and foremost, we are about making it possible to capture all the footage. So surfacing all the video. And secondly, it's about how can we build tools that can allow coaches to do better coaching. So we're not about telling coaches how to coach, but build tools that can enable them to go deeper in the analysis, deeper in their understanding of the game, and also how they can help players understand how they can improve. So here we, of course, are listening a lot to our communities. What type of analysis, what type of data is really crucial to the coaches so they can faster surface those points that is critical to develop their team, and also how can we expand their philosophy of play. So I think there's a big road ahead of us in deepening our understanding of the analysis of the players, the tracking of the players, and how do we improve the game.
Last one from me. We've got some of the best teams across every sport. We're used by the NBA Academy. We're used by some of the top teams in football. We're used by some of the top teams in rugby. You're the founder. You've done this in under 10 years. How does it feel from your point of view?
No, it makes me very, very proud. We're doing a difference, that we're solving a real problem, that we are democratizing access, that we are now enabling the grassroots to develop better players, but also helping those players to save their memories and to amplify, share those memories, to connect with their families and connect the communities. So I think it makes me proud that we're doing a real difference in the world of sport.
Fantastic. Henrik, founder at VIA, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.